Hi everyone, I'm Rachel and this is Callum, and we would like to welcome you all to Turf and Tarmac, the SACU official podcast. This season on Turf and Tarmac, we'll be speaking to some of Scotland's top riders from road race, motocross, trials, enduro, supermoto and more to find out a bit about their riding experiences and their favourite moments of their sporting career.
This week's guest is Mr. Steve Kershaw. This was a really fun one to record. It's our very first one. And Steve made it really easy for us. Steve is two-time British champion, multiple-time Scottish champion. He's won the Jock Taylor Trophy, God knows how many times. He was a really fun guest, and you guys will really enjoy this interview. So welcome to the first podcast, and the guest, as you can see, is Mr. Steve Kershaw. Hello, Steve. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good, thanks. Callum, yourself?
Yeah, not bad at all. Just gonna crack on with this podcast. So question number one is going to be...
So Steve, could you tell us about the discipline you're in and how you got started here?
Yeah, so I race sidecars, three-wheeled machine with a rider and a passenger, and I got started in the sport because my mum and dad used to race sidecars many moons ago. So I grew up in the paddock as a kid, and it was just something that I always wanted to do. And it just really went from there. As soon as I was to be 17 to drive, I always wanted to be the driver. So I was 17 in the February back in the day, and then in the March I was on track riding, and I've never really looked back since, to be honest.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, it's a crazy sport. Obviously I've watched it for years and years, and I always think that you guys are the craziest people in the whole paddock. So it's definitely the coolest, or one of the coolest things that is definitely
it's an interesting one, because it takes, you've got to trust somebody else without being able to, there's no communication between myself and the passenger. So you're very much hurtling around the track, and if I'm in charge of the throttle, but if the passenger's not doing his job, we're going off the track, and if I'm not doing my job, we're going off the track. So it is quite a unique sport that it probably doesn't get the the coverage that it probably deserves, because it's hard work having to do that, two people together. So yeah, it's good. It's good fun.
Yeah, absolutely. The most communication you've got, it's like a big thump on the back if you're going too fast and not going fast enough.
Yeah, you get cold, and that's like, it's either going horribly wrong or it's going really well, one of the two.
So could you just tell us a wee bit about your beginning years in the sport, like what, maybe years 1, 2 and 3 when you were just a novice? How did that go, and how did you find it?
Yeah, so 2005 was my first year, and I was riding a 1956 Triumph big wheeler. It was a bit of a special, Owen Greenwood special. He was a bit of an innovator in the sort of the 50s and 60s. So I started on that, and it was a good way to, cut your teeth on that, because it was 100 mile an hour flat out. And, so you could get your bearings, and they didn't handle, so you were sliding everywhere. So you got bike control quite quickly and stuff like that. So that was sort of 2005. So I did that for a year, and then quickly realized, that I was really enjoying it. So we moved on to the sort of the modern stuff in 2006, and went on to Formula 2. We bought a DMR, which is a type of chassis with an old Kawasaki engine in 600 F2, and just did sort of Scottish Championship stuff, and again really enjoyed that. Won the F2 Scottish Cup in 2006, and all the Melville Cup and stuff, and then from there just progressed straight into the British Championship in 2007, and that was really then the start of running in the British Championship, and learned a hell of a lot very quickly, getting in with there's only one way to learn in my book, and you get in with the fast guys, and that's what teaches you, whether you'll know yourself, Callum, coming up as well, that you might only get one corner behind them, but that one corner you can learn a lot. You tag on and you go, oh right, yeah, okay, that's how that works, and this is where we need to be on the track, and it's the only way that brings you on. So really from there on, then it was just sort of all uphill.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, when you first started, did you have, like, through 2005, 6 and 7, did you have the same passenger through that whole time?
Yeah, so I had the same passenger from when I first started in 2005 until 2015. So I had 10 years with the same passenger. So I had that consistency. Good friend of mine, Rob Wilson, and he taught me a lot about bike setup. Rob was 20 years older than me, which was probably a good thing because it kept my feet on the ground and taught me a lot along the way. He was a novice when I was a novice driver. You know, he was a novice passenger, but he had a lot of experience within motorsport. So he had that setup knowledge and situation knowledge, breakdown knowledge, things like that, which made my life a lot easier along the way, sort of thing. So yeah.
Next one. So what would you say your greatest achievement was in your time in the sport?
My greatest achievement would be definitely winning the British Championship in 2018. That was sort of a lifetime goal of mine to do that. So, and then we won it again just last year in 2020. So to be double British champion is something that, like I say, it's something I always wanted to do, and we worked really hard to get to that. It took a long time to get to that, a lot of highs and lows. So that is definitely we've done some other really cool stuff, and but that's definitely to date the best achievement by far. So
absolutely, the past few years of watching the sidecars, obviously my fiance Hannah's a sidecar passenger, so I've only just really started taking a very keen interest in it, and it's on the Sunday it's one of the best races on the whole day, because there's always 3 or 4 people at the front. Sometimes, as there is in everyone, there's a breakaway leader or whatever. But the past few years, it's just been so close, and the battles have been crazy, especially between, I think it was 2018-19 when you and Todd Ellis were battling away. That was
19 was incredible, really. There was a big rule change in at the end of 18. We were the last 1000cc British champions, and then the rules changed, and they changed it to being 600cc only, but in the long chassis. And we weren't sure how that was going to go, but we took to it really well, having never ridden a 600cc engine in a long chassis. Some guys had taken the jump early, they'd sort of, and they knew it was coming, so they jumped early to get ahead of the game, which is fair enough. We hung it out to take the title, and with a steep learning curve in 19, but we got on board with it real quickly, and we had an incredible year with Dodge. It was fantastic. We lost the British Championship, so we came in as reigning champions, and we could have gone out as we were the last 1000cc champion. We could have been the first 600 British champion, but it went down to the final round, and I think there was 21 races that year, and Todd won 11 and we won 10 as teammates. So it was and there was some close racing. I don't think we had a qualifying. We were split first and second. I don't think we were any more than 0.3 all year. 0.3 was second. I think the closest qualifying was 0.001 or something. It was mega. And when it's like that, it's whether you're first or second, it hurts to lose. But if you've been in a race like that, it's fantastic. It's so close and it's fair. It's hard, but it's fair, and it's brilliant. It's what you do it for.
Yeah,
absolutely. What would you say your goals are for this season coming? What are you doing, and what are your goals for this season?
Yeah, so this year, 2021, we are now heading for the World Championship. So we have been testing. We managed to get away to France in March testing, which went really well. And now we were supposed to be at Le Mans in France for round one back in April, but that's been delayed till sort of start to mid-June. It's about the 15th of June that we head for round one. So that's what we're up to this year, and that's really our target now. Is we've moved up into this World Championship now, and that's where we're concentrating all our efforts on that. We've joined forces with John Murphy from Quattro Group, who's been a big sponsor within motorcycle racing for quite a long time now. He's got a lot of experience, so we've joined up with John as sort of Team Quattro, and it's really exciting. And I can't wait. it's been quite hard to get away testing, and then think it was like 3 weeks before the first round, you know, so you're totally pumped and ready to go, and off the back of a good test, and we've had to sort of sit on our hands for 2 months. So, but you know, taking nothing away that obviously everybody else is not getting to do the things they want to do either. So, taking that into consideration, it's not too bad. But you know, you get I'm ready to go, and but when we get started, it's going to be epic. We've got a lot of learning to do this year. You know, we know that we've got the pace in the bike, and myself and my passenger Ryan Charlwood, who I won the British Championship with last year, we feel good on the bike as well. But it's just we've got to learn the tracks now as we go. You know, we've got a lot of new tracks. We've got, I think, 8 rounds. I've got 3 tracks that we know. We've got Donington Park with the World Superbikes, we've got Assen with World Superbikes, and we've got Brands Hatch Grand Prix with the BSB. So that's 3 circuits that I've done quite a lot. So that's they weren't all in there at the start of the calendar. There was the Brands, but there wasn't the Assen and the Donington. They followed on a little bit later. So to have them added in for me is a massive bonus to be able to just, you know, you're not always chasing your tail at a circuit that you don't know. You know, the racing guys, multiple world champions that have been doing these circuits for 10 years, and they know every nook and cranny, as they say. So, you know, likes of Le Mans, and then we go to 2 weeks later, we go to Pannonia Ring in Hungary, and you know, we've got a lot of learning to do a lot quickly. But we're well aware of that, and it's a stepping stone this year. We're hoping to get some good results in, but really I'm looking to the year after, and the year after, that's when I would hope to be sort of challenging for maybe wins, hopefully. Well, that's the plan. That's what I'm going to do. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah. So where do you see yourself in 5 years' time then?
Oh God, that's a killer question. That would have seemed if I'll be honest, I never like to say on like media or anything like that, but I'd like to think I'll be world champion. That's the plan. But like I say, that's not something I come out and say very often. But
yeah,
that is that's why I'm going to do the World Championship. I'm not going to make the numbers up. I'm going because, you know, I grew up watching all the guys, and I've got this opportunity now, so I'm taking it with both hands, and myself and Ryan, and yeah, that's hopefully where I see myself in 5 years. So we'll see.
As you say, you know, you can't go there with any other mindset other than you're going there to win. I mean, that's literally the only reason that it's not the only reason we go racing, but one of the main reasons you go racing is for the euphoria of winning. So no,
yeah, absolutely, and as well, you know, when you're coming up through the ranks, and you get like a PB, you finish 6th, and it's brilliant, and then so on and so forth, and you work your way up, and then you start winning, and then you get a win, and that's great, and then, you know, like 2018 and 19, we won a lot of races, and then anything else but winning then becomes a bit dull. It sounds a bit odd, but it just does. You know, it doesn't matter how many times you win, there's nothing like winning.
Yeah.
And so then so you're sort of, you know, we've done what we needed to do in the British Championship. So for me now, you know, that next goal is going to the World Championship, and then sort of going, right, well, let's aim to be in the top 5, and then let's aim to get on the podium, and consistently be on the podium, and then we're aiming to win, you know, over the course of 3 years or so. So it's sort of all starting again at that next level. So, but yeah, it's a bug that you, like you say, I don't go to make the numbers up. I wouldn't be racing if I was going to make the numbers up, because I've got plenty of other things that get sacrificed to come and do it. So I'm going out there because I want to win, and that's what we're good at. So
that actually leads on, you know, quite well to the next question, which was, you know, if that's the challenges that you're facing at the moment going forward, what's the challenges you've faced previously coming through, and you know, to get you to where you are today?
Yeah, lots.
Yeah.
Crashes and injuries, and you know, it's not been an easy road. You know, we sort of went, you know, we sort of had, I've had illnesses and all sorts of things that have sort of curtailed seasons along the way. It's probably taken me a lot longer to get to being British champion than I probably thought it would. you know, and then 2015 I had a massive crash with Rob, you know, and that was really hard. Hard to, you know, and it took a lot to come back from that as well. So yeah, so it's not been easy getting there. And even, you know, even sacrifices at home, like my wife will laugh because, you know, summer holidays are just non-existent. It doesn't happen. We don't go abroad.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a joinery business as well, and I've got 2 young boys. So I've got Niall, he's 4 and Owen's 2. So, you know, they're not coming to the World Championship. So, you know, I'm away for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you're away from the family and stuff. But that's just what, you know, unfortunately, you know, you have to take these choices as to whether you're going to make these sacrifices and be away from the kids and you know, miss in your best mate's wedding and stuff, just because. And I think that probably rolls back to why you say that, you know, we're going because we want to win, because of what you're sacrificing.
Yeah.
You it's a lot, you know, so it's got to be worthwhile. It's not sort of, oh, you know, we're going to go over there and go and get drunk all weekend. You know, it's not the case. We're going out there to try and achieve something quite special, and it makes the sacrifice worthwhile, although it still can be difficult at times. I think as well, sometimes when you stop, you sort of think, oh God, is it worth it? But then you get on that top step, and you know, it certainly feels worth it to me. And you know, I've got fantastic support at home as well, so I'm very lucky that way with my mum and dad. They're always there, and Rhea's, and my wife is behind me 100% all the time as well. So that makes a huge difference to being able to go, because that would be probably nigh on impossible otherwise, to be honest.
Yeah. So what would you say your biggest motivation is then? Would you say it's the winning aspect and just how it feels to be on the podium?
I would say that my biggest motivation, yeah, definitely is winning, and achieving what I want to achieve. Yeah, 100%. That's what motivates me to go racing, definitely.
Yeah.
Those challenges almost make that motivation, the motivation needs to be heightened when those challenges do come, you know, like injuries and things like that. When you get an injury, your motivation does seem to dip. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody's does, your motivation dips, but it's getting out of that dip and back up that's the difficult bit. But the motivation of winning definitely gets you back up there.
Yeah, you know, Rob and I, when we had our big crash in 15, you know, I don't know if Rachel knows, but Rob, my passion at the time, ended up in a wheelchair from it, and you know, you got 2 choices then to, you know, this is what, how many years on now, and it's still hard to talk about. You got 2 choices. You either, you know, what doesn't break you makes you, sort of thing, you know, and that's basically, you know, I had to feed off that to come back, because we were sitting second in the British Championship at the time. So I knew that at that point, at 2015, I knew that we were on course. That I'm not sure if we'd have won it that year, but you know, it was coming. So and we'd worked. So that had been 10 years in the making to get to that, for this unforeseen and you know, very unlucky accident to happen. It's either like, right, you know what, forget it. But I'm not really like that. So, you know, I had to take that and use that fuel to get me back. You know, I had a year off from injuring myself from that, and then, you know, come back out and go, no, this isn't how it's ending. This is not how the story's ending. You know, I've got more to give. So that definitely fueled me for 17 and 18 to get back to win the British Championship, for sure. And then from there on, I dare say I said to my wife that if I win the British Championship, I'll hang my boots up. But but then, you know, that sort of that World Championship's there, and you're going, you know, we're racing the guys that are in it, and we're on pace, and the lap times are there, and you think, oh, you know, so you just keep on going. So yeah, it's a funny old game.
Yeah.
It certainly is, and that was clearly the right choice as well because of the achievements you've had. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if you hadn't, it would have been a case of what if, rather than now it's like, you know, I've done that.
Done it.
Yeah, I didn't want to come away from the sport, and you know, I didn't want to be one of those guys in 15 years in the pub going, oh, I could have been. I
Yeah.
wanted to say that I've either done it or, you know, maybe like you say with the 5 years question, Rachel, you know, that I could turn around in 5 years and say either I'm world champion or, do you know what, I fell short, but I gave it my best shot, you know. And I think if you do that in anything that you do, nobody can, you know, they can only give you respect for doing that in any sport, obviously, you know. So that's certainly the way I look at it. I don't want any regrets. All sounds a bit cheesy, but I think people since the COVID thing as well now have probably, a lot of people are probably looking at life a bit differently and thinking, do you know what, actually, let's have a go at that, or whatever it may be, because you don't really know what's coming, do you, now after that? Because it's been such a weird year and a bit with the whole situation. So
You're actually making this interview flow really, really well for us, because the next question is, how has COVID affected your training and testing program? So, you know, with March, you know, last year, you would have literally just been getting ready to go to the first few rounds of the championship and things like that. How did that affect your training program, like off the track, and then the testing program on the track?
yeah, do you know, it was really odd because it was like the week before we went testing, and like we literally had the bike in the van waiting for an email to confirm. It was that close to us going to France, and not really knowing, like, you know, watching all the news and being like, it's not that bad, it's not that bad, and then, you know, and then being like, oh, actually, this is pretty serious, you know, and thinking, well, it'll be, you know, well, okay, we won't go testing, but we'll be on the bike in April, you know. And it just, you know, it just stopped, you know, as you know. And for me, training wise, I've been quite fortunate actually, because where we live in the borders, Scottish borders here, where, you know, luckily here there's plenty of room, you know, plenty of space. We live sort of 5 miles from any town up on a kind of farm area, so we've got space. So I've got an enduro bike that I train on weekly. Every weekend I ride it. I get the stopwatch on and I do an hour and a half, you know, non-stop, and I've got a bit of a circuit through the woods and stuff. So luckily for me, because I can't do the gym, I've tried and I just can't get motivated looking at myself in the mirror sweating away. It's just not good. So, you know, and I find the enduro that I get that sort of bit of need for speed. I get a bit of kick, you know, you get that rush, and the full body workout it gives me is insane. You know, it's so good. It really works everything. So I was lucky enough that I was able to continue that. The only thing normally I would train hard for the winter and then back right off to the summer, because I don't want to injure myself. So I don't tend to ride it once the racing starts. I tend to do a bit more sort of cycling or a bit of jogging, or I used to do a lot of swimming, because I found that once I started swimming, I wasn't a very good swimmer, and once I started swimming, it made a huge difference to my lung capacity when I was riding. Like, I couldn't believe the difference when I was sort of back in the 2009, 2010. You'd be half race distance and you were blowing, you know, and you're really struggling, and you started losing concentration, and you start thinking that things were hurting, and your arms were sore, and you were not concentrating on what you were doing. You were just trying to get to the end of the race, and I thought, this is no good, I'm going to have to get fitter. And went swimming and really struggled swimming because I'm not great, and I just plodded away with it and stuck at it. And then I'm still not a great swimmer, but I'm okay now, you know. And the difference that I found with my lung capacity from regular swimming every week was astounding. I really would say to anybody that was looking to get fit, to start with is swimming, because it doesn't strain the body as much as well, because you're in the water, but it works all the muscles. And the constant breathtaking is I couldn't believe the difference. And it's still something now I do. I haven't swam for a while. It tends to be something I do in the winter, but obviously this winter and last winter was all right, but this winter with COVID, it's not really happened. But it's definitely something that if I feel the need to top up, then swimming's the one, because cardio is, it's not a massively, you don't have to be super strong, to be a bike racer. I think, you've got to be strong, but you've got to be lean with it. Even, like say riding super bikes, Callum, it's, you've got to muscle them around. And on the sidecar, like the way I ride my outfit, it's not, you shouldn't be gritting your teeth and throwing it around the corners. So you need to be lean, strong, and have endurance, and have that endurance so that you're not, the brain is able to focus 100% at the end of the race. That's, for me, that's the key thing, because then you've got that, you're not struggling just riding a bike, because you're battling. You've got to make decisions at the very end of the race, and that, I think, is where maybe some people go wrong, where they look super fit and they got huge biceps on them, but it doesn't make any difference if they've trained for power. It's not about that. It's about keeping your head in the game at the end of the race, and just having that endurance there to, especially the longer stuff you do. So we're going now from British Championship 10-lap races to a 20-minute race, say for argument's sake, 15 to 20-minute race at British Championship, to a 45-minute race in the World Championship, in potentially 30-35 degree heat in the likes of Hungary, Croatia and stuff. So a lot more taxing physically and mentally. Competing aside, just maintaining that pace, so setting a qualifying time and then maintaining that pace in the race for 45 minutes in that heat. So it's a different style of fitness.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people probably don't realise how physical a sport it is. People think, like, oh, I ride my bike to work every morning, it takes me half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever it is. But riding a superbike, riding a sidecar, riding any of the disciplines at all, it's so taxing on your body. And like you say, having the endurance capacity, the muscular endurance and the cardiovascular endurance to make those split-second decisions and be able to do them accurately at the end of a race is the be all and end all. As long as you can be there at the end of the race, you need to be able to then make those choices and make those passes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always say to people as well, because you get that a lot, and they go, well, that doesn't, I can drive my car for ages, but I say to them, well, I'll tell you what, you drive your car for 45 minutes as fast as you possibly can the whole time. It's so difficult to ride something at its limit and at your physical and mental limit, capability for that length of time. That's what's tough. Anybody, like you say, I can ride around in a circle for half an hour, no problem. But to ride at that level, and that's something that, that's something again that I say to, not that I was much better when I was a teen, but I say to young lads, my nephew and stuff, that, going racing, you're able to put everything in, and you don't have to leave anything up. You don't have to leave anything at home. You can give it 110%. And if you make a mistake and you mess it up, there's runoff and there's people there to look after you, and everybody's going the same way, and there's no pedestrians, and there's no, and that's where you're able to do that, rather than doing it on the road and go down the pub and brag about how fast you've gone. Well, for me, like I say, don't get me wrong, I was no angel when I was a young lad, but I think if you want to seriously go fast, then the racetrack's the place to go, definitely.
Yeah, completely agree.
So pre-COVID, what did your weekly timetable look like in terms of training and testing?
Well, because I've got my business to run, it was always it's always and still is a juggling act, to be honest. So really, I would work 5 or 6 days a week with the joinery. I would work on the tools, which luckily would have quite a physical job. So that keeps you fit in itself, and then you would always you'd maybe be doing something at work that was like plasterboard in the ceiling or something like that. So which is a hard job. Well, you push extra hard and it would always become the training for the day. You get home, you're absolutely knackered, and you can't, you'd never go to the gym after that anyway. But I would do my jobs, and then normally I would try and train 2 nights a week through the week, and then either a Saturday or a Sunday. So that was kind of how I worked it, whether that would be in the winter, maybe I played indoor football. Again, anything competitive, and I'll put me on a treadmill, and I'll do it, but I just put me in a game situation, and I will. If you put me on a football pitch, even I'll run until I'm physically sick, if that means I'm going to win, because I've just got and so that then for me then becomes good training. So I play indoor football, and like I say, I maybe swim and then play indoor football and go out on my bike at the weekend. So that was kind of, but it wasn't, the nature of the sport. We're not superstars here, so work comes first through the week at the minute, and that takes priority because I've got to put food on the table for the kids and stuff. So, but that was sort of pre-COVID, and the only thing that's really changed is the midweek stuff where you're going somewhere where that's now not happening, but hopefully again it will soon. So at the minute, really, it's weekend training, and now the clocks have changed and the nights are getting lighter. I can actually get out of my enduro midweek as well for a quick blast if I've got time as well. So
I think a lot of people will probably find what you've just said a little bit odd, that you're a joiner during the week. Like, people will look up to you and think like, you're a superstar to a lot of people. People watching on Eurosport every week will be like, oh my goodness, like Steve Kershaw is out racing, winning sidecar races on the Saturday, and on Sundays fitting plasterboard on a ceiling. Like, people will find that
I get, it's funny. I think people do see that, but unfortunately there isn't the money in the sport that there isn't some other motorsports. So we have to I've got a day job. Yeah, that's it. I did my apprenticeship, and I went self-employed 7 years ago now, and started my own business purely because of the racing, because of the time off I was having. It's quite funny. Meet people at tracks, during the season, and they'll say, where are you heading next? And you go, oh, home.
Yeah.
Work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we've been to places where I've been racing in Ireland, and got the midnight boat home, and then my dad would drive the truck home, and I got out the truck at 7:30 in the morning, got my work gear on, and got in the van, and then drove to work, and then worked an 8-hour shift on Monday, and then home, and that was even now, we'll be at Brands Hatch, depending on even like the last round is maybe if we're last. Sometimes we normally get like a mid-afternoon race, but even then, by the time you've packed up, it's sort of 7 o'clock at night, 5, 6, 7. But we've got a 9-hour drive home, so it can be 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, in the morning. So you get in, you go to bed, and you get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you go to work, and that's just. And some people are amazed by that, but I presume it just becomes the norm. You just sort of think, well, it's my choice, so you just have to get on with it. And,
absolutely. What would you say is, from, again, like leading on from that, so if someone, who would consider themselves as normal wanted to join the sport, or someone like a kid who's aspiring to be a sidecar racer, or even just be in any type of motorsport, what would you say your advice to them would be for joining?
Really, they want to get in touch with the likes of the the SACU, or or the ACU, or possibly even like the Scottish Sidecar Club, but the SACU would put them in touch with, sort of thing, and just make it known that they're either looking to passenger. It's quite often a lot of people passenger first, and then move into driving. But you can go and get training done. You get classroom training, and then on bike training. We've done, myself and Stuart Clark was my passenger after Rob, before Ryan. I've had Rob and then Stuart and then Ryan, and myself and Stuart have done quite a lot of training at Knockhill, again pre-COVID, where we get teams up and new passengers and just help them out, get them into the sport. That's becoming something it's only just happened. It's actually again, it's something that COVID really killed off, that it was just getting going, it was just really getting started on a summer's evening, it was sort of 6 to 8 at Knockhill, where we could just get novice riders and passengers up who were new to the sport, and you just had that time to give them, because it used to be, East Fortune, Saturday morning, you've got a full day's racing ahead, everybody does, you're in race mode, and then you'd get called up to do a training before the first practice, and you're not in the mood, that's not what you're there to do. And don't get me wrong, we've always helped out, glad to help out, but going for a purpose training session midweek is perfect, because you've got all the time then to sit down with them. You're coming in, you're getting off the bike, you're talking it through with them, giving them advice, tips. As a driver, I can follow them and watch them. They follow me and pick lines. And so, if you're keen, if somebody's watching this and they think, oh, I fancy a shot of that, then certainly get in touch with the Scottish Sidecar Club or the ACU, SACU, or any of these the clubs, the Bempsey Club as well down south, and Melville Club. There's loads of places if you start looking, that that's a good thing with motorsport as well, is everybody's willing to help. Nobody's sort of like, nobody turns their nose up. Anybody can have a go, no matter what age you are. Whether you're watching this at 17 or watching this at 16, it doesn't make any difference. If you want to have a go, then have a go, and there's always somebody there to help.
So we'll just finish with some final quickfire questions, if that's okay. So who's your biggest inspiration in the sport?
Steve Webster. Yeah, Steve Webster was a 10-time world champion, and he was the man when I was growing up. I mean, there's lots of superb riders in the sport that I'm lucky enough that I'm competing against some of them now. But Steve Webster, when I was a lad, was the man. I watched him as a kid, and I watched him at Mallory Park. He got beat actually by Steve Abbott, and I was not happy. I remember watching when I was about, I don't know, maybe about 6. So he, like I say, he was the, it was like the Carl Fogarty was the man on the superbike, and Steve Webster was the man on the sidecars when I was growing up. So he was always, and I met him properly when I went Formula One, moved into Formula One in 2011. I met him, and he helped me out a bit that year at the very start. And it was, they say like, you should never meet your heroes, but the guy's, he's a legend, absolute legend.
Nice one.
Next question, what would you say is your favourite track? And you could even give us, one in the UK, and then if you've been elsewhere. I mean, obviously I know you've been abroad to do testing and stuff, so what's your favourite track in the UK and then elsewhere?
Yeah, so I've got, I like quite a few, to be honest. I would say my favourite, if I'm honest, I would say my favourite is Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Is incredible. I absolutely love East Fortune because it's home. It's just home from home, that place. I love going there, and I'm really, really hoping that they get up and running this summer late on, and maybe if there used to always be a meeting in September, and if there is, and I'm not a world championship, I'm coming, because it's a fabulous place and it's fabulously run, and I'm always keen to support it, and it's and then I've only really, again, I'll maybe answer this question again in a year's time when it comes to what comes to European circuits. Certainly, I've done Assen quite a lot. The Cathedral of Speed, and it is an incredible circuit, incredible atmosphere. The Dutch fans are crazy, and it is definitely one that I would recommend to any racer if they get a chance to do any form of track day or Dutch superbike meeting or anything like that, because it is superb.
Nice.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us one interesting fact about yourself that no one would know?
I had, that's a good one. I had open heart surgery in 2013. I don't know how many folk know that. So that's quite interesting. Something monitored from birth, and I had a valve sparing aortic root replacement in 2013. So I missed that season because of that. So yeah, it's not something that I, publicised too much. I just got on with it, and that's something else that I kind of got wrote off as that'll be career ending, but
Yeah.
it takes more than that to stop me.
I think that's a really good thing to put out there to a lot of people. A lot of people will see these barriers as absolute barriers that can't be overcome, and in motorsport it's an extremely dangerous thing. We're going to crash, we're going to be injured, but as well as what actually happens, natural things that happen that can't be helped, that you can still overcome them and still participate in the sport. There's nothing that can absolutely stop you from doing it.
Yeah, I think that you're bang on that with that, Callum, because I think people, they look at the sport, motorsport, and they go, but there's so many things. Like, there's so many things in life that get you, so many that you don't have to do anything. You could stay in your house your whole life, and this, the list is endless of things that diseases and things that we all know of that take people that you love, and pretty much everybody knows somebody that that's happened to. So you're absolutely right. It's not like we say, and I say to people, everybody's going the same direction. Everybody's there for the same reason. Medics are on site. Everybody. You can't race without all the proper gear on. It's far safer than driving down the M6 anyway. That's for sure.
Absolutely. What would you say is one word that describes you best?
Determined.
It's a good one.
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
That's it, really. Yeah.
If
I'm not, if my bike's not good enough, it's not working good enough. It's determination that gets me there in the end. I just keep working and keep working and keep working, and we get there eventually.
I think that another one from an outside looking in. I mean, resilience must be up there for one of the words that describes you best. Just from what we spoke about, this whole interview, you've definitely got so much determination, so much resilience.
Yeah, I'm stubborn. Just no, I don't know. I just want to get on and do it, so I do it, and that's really it. To be honest, I don't really, like I said before, I don't really mess about. Just, if you're going to do it, do it.
Very good.
Full send, as we're saying recently, isn't it? All full send.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, full gas. Give it some. Yeah, you're only here once. Let's have it.
Nice one. Well, that's all our questions today, Steve. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's been great to talk to you guys, and hope you all have a successful year yourselves with everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
And,
Yeah, absolutely. You too.
Yeah.
Have you got anybody you want to shout out to, or any sponsors you want to say thanks to? Any social media, anything like that?
Yeah, if anybody wants to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Kershaw Racing, please do. That would be great. And I want to just big shout out to my team first of all, and then to Quattro Group, Bob and John at Quattro, and Jimmy Shanks, Blink Bonnie Quarry, Fuchs Silkline, massive help to us, KCP. Yeah, everybody that's helping us achieve the dream that we want to achieve. Couldn't do it without you, and hopefully we'll make you proud. Cheers.
Absolutely. Hopefully in a year's time we'll have you on as a repeat guest, and we can speak about your year in World Championship as well and how that's gone.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you again.
No worries. Bye-bye.